For more, I'm joined by CBS Sports NFL analyst Ryan Wilson and John Breach. And John, some expected the Browns to kind of cut ties with Watson considering the severity of the injury and the lack of success with him under center in Cleveland. But what's your reaction to the Browns keeping him on the roster with this restructure?
Yeah, this is absolutely interesting because this is the opposite of what anyone thought they were going to do. If you've watched Deshaun Watson play at all for the past 3 seasons, I don't know how anyone could think it would be smart to restructure his contract in a way that he has now locked the organization for 2 more years just because of the way the salary cap hits are going to be structured. So to me, this is the Cleveland Browns waving the white flag and saying, we give up. We're stuck with him. We get it. We can't take a $72.6 million cap hit in 2025 and 2026. So we're going to add these 2 voidable years so we can stretch everything out. And now this is going to just create drama and really injure. Joe Flacco put up huge numbers. Jameis Winston put up huge numbers. So Deshaun Watson has had a chance. He just hasn't been successful yet. So the fact that they have tied themselves to him for 2 more years just really raises some eyebrows and something I was not expecting to see 2 days after Christmas.
Right. And you mentioned tied him to the organization for years to come. Ryan, when you look at the ripple effect into the way Cleveland approaches the draft, as Breach mentioned, how does that affect it?
It shouldn't. John's a Bengals fan. I'm a Steelers fan. And this is all you need to know. We're both excited about the possibility of Deshaun Watson coming back to Cleveland because he doesn't help that team win football games. In terms of the draft, as we sit here, they pick 5th overall. They only have a 2% chance of getting the 1st overall pick because of a team called the Giants. But if they get inside the top 2, they have to take a quarterback. And there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it because, as Breach noted, Joe Flacco literally got off his couch last year and helped his team to the playoffs once Deshaun Watson got hurt. This year, we saw Jameis Winston and DTR have some success, at least more success than what Deshaun Watson had when he was healthy. So you see the graphic here. If they can find a way to get up a couple spots, I don't know if you want to trade up a couple spots because one of the reasons they did the restructure was to create a little bit more money to make this team at least competitive going forward. We heard Myles, Garrett, and Joel Petonio say they had some concerns about the competitiveness of this team prior to this restructure. And Maddie and Breach, I sort of liken it to this. It's when you know you need to get divorced, but you got to stay together because your kid is about to go to college and you don't want to have to be paying money everywhere. So you're going to suck it up for a couple years, try to figure it out. But to Breach's point, if anyone outplays Deshaun Watson, he will be a highly paid backup, and perhaps he and Kirk Cousins can start a club because Kirk Cousins might be in that club too next year if Michael Penix Jr. continues to play well.
Absolutely. And some other quarterback news in the NFL, the Eagles, they've ruled out Jalen Hurts for Sunday. You got to think Philly would like to win this game to shore up the division before Week 18 with the much-feared Giants on their docket. But if you are the Eagles, how much do you want to put on Pickett's plate with the division on the line, or do you want to let Saquon Barkley loose to chase the record?
Maddie, I am taking the plate away from Kenny Pickett and giving it to Saquon Barkley and saying, all right, this is what we need here. You need 268 yards to set the single-season rushing record. Let's go for it this week. Let's go for everything this week because if the Eagles win this game, you clinch the NFC East. There's no shot really at the number 1 overall seed. So at that point, you go into Week 18 knowing you can rest your starter. So this really isn't the worst thing as long as they can beat the Cowboys with Kenny Pickett. And there is a little silver lining where Jalen Hurts is going to get a week to not just heal from his concussion, but let his body heal from all the hits he's taken this entire season. And the Eagles, if they've proven one thing really during their 10-game winning streak, it's that Saquon Barkley and this defense are good enough to carry this team to a win. And it's not like Kenny Pickett's coming off the street. I mean, he has 24 starts in his career. Wilson knows it all too well since they all came with the Steelers, with the other Pennsylvania team. So Kenny Pickett can do something if the Eagles need him to. We saw him make a few big throws against the Commanders, and now he'll have a full week of practice under his belt. I think the bigger concern here would be, you mentioned the rib injury that Kenny Pickett's dealing with. If he takes a big hit, now you're down a tear of a key. Now you're in trouble. So I think as long as Kenny Pickett stays healthy, they are good enough to win. Will they? I'm not sure I would bet on it, but it will be interesting to see what the Eagles offense looks like on Sunday.
Maddie, to quote Breach, Kenny Pickett can do some things if you need him to. That's a ringing endorsement for a starting quarterback. As I mentioned, as the aforementioned Steelers fan, Kenny Pickett brought with him a lot of frustration. But I will say this. He goes from not having a coordinator, essentially, and don't ask Kenny Pickett to do too much because otherwise you could be setting yourself up for some huge interceptions or fumbles or what have you. So I think the game plan is a pretty conservative one. Let your defense do the heavy lifting. Force Cooper Rush to make plays. And who knows, the Cowboys, even though they played well recently, they may have checked out with 2 weeks left to go. And as I mentioned, no CeeDee Lamb. So you play this game, and to your larger point, Madeline, you get ready for that Week 18 Super Bowl game against the New York Giants.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Eagles fans are hoping Kenny Pickett, yes, he can, right? You got to get the division short up. Ryan Wilson, John Breach, thanks so much for the insight as always.
Howdy, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Today, your number one source for all things America's team. If you're a diehard football fan and love our Dallas Cowboys, you're in the right place. So don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest Cowboys news. Let's get started. Movie camera, hey, Cowboys fans. Get ready for some breaking news that could shake up the Cowboys defense and turn our team into a true powerhouse for 2025. After an inconsistent start to the season and significant struggles on defense, Jerry Jones might be considering a bold move that could push Dallas back to the top of the NFL. But what's the big play? Stick around because in 50 seconds, I'll tell you everything. 3 o'clock, the current Cowboys scenario. With a 3-3 record, our defense has been one of the most vulnerable in the league, ranking 31st in points allowed per game. Micah Parsons, our defensive superstar, has been dealing with injuries and isn't performing at his usual elite level. Meanwhile, veterans like DeMarcus Lawrence and Eric Kendricks are showing signs of wear. It's clear that reinforcing the defense is an absolute priority for the front office. Fire the big reveal. According to sources close to the franchise, the Cowboys are exploring a trade for none other than Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. Garrett is one of the best defensive players in the NFL, boasting 5 Pro Bowl selections, 3 first-team All-Pro honors, and the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year award. He'd be the perfect partner for Parsons, forming one of the most lethal duos in the league. The proposal reportedly involves multiple first- and third-round picks in the 2025 and 2026 drafts, but the opportunity to bring Garrett to Dallas might be worth the investment. Lightbulb, what does this mean for the Cowboys? Adding Garrett wouldn't just take the pressure off Parsons, but would also elevate the Cowboys' defense to an elite level. This move could transform the team, especially with the playoffs still within reach. However, giving up such valuable draft capital for one player, even someone as talented as Garrett, is a high-stakes gamble that raises plenty of questions. Is it worth sacrificing part of the future for an immediate impact? Flex Biceps, now we want to hear from you. Do you think Myles Garrett is the missing piece to fix the Cowboys' defensive problems? Is he worth the price, or should the team focus on future draft picks instead? Megaphone, join the conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with other fans, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to stay updated on all the latest Cowboys news and analysis. American football, go Cowboys! See you in the next video.